On the 27th of January 1994, a gentleman by the name of Roy Jones was walking his dog along an old school field. His dog stopped to start scratching at a mound of earth. At first, Mr. Jones thought his dog had uncovered a sheep's skull or a sheep's head, but when he went over to investigate, this is when a truly horrific discovery would be made. But what did that discovery in Staffordshire, what did or does it have to do with where we are here today in Manchester? This, my friends, is the tragic and horrifying tale of Adnan Al-Sane. For the purpose of today's video, myself and Vicky, who is now busy doing a bit of e-footage, we are going to mix two videos together. We're going to do the story of Mr. Al-Sane, as well as go down some back streets and visit some of the interesting buildings here close to where we are in Manchester. We're not going to go all around Manchester, but just some little areas, some back streets, back alleys. And we're going to mix the two together, so we're not quite sure how this video is going to end up looking. The Al-Sane story, we don't have that much information about it, so we're just going to tell the tale as we go along and mix the two together. If you enjoy this video, tell us down below. Or if you didn't really enjoy it because we kind of have mixed the two together, again, let us know. This is something different. It's something that we're kind of ad-libbing. Not really planned it as such to be like this. We're just going to go with the flow. So let us know your thoughts down below, everybody. So what links does the severed head found in Staffordshire have to do with Manchester? It was December the 17th, 1993, some 6 weeks prior to those events occurring down in Staffordshire, when a body would be discovered burning under the archways close to Piccadilly station. The body that was discovered was found on wasteland alongside Wire Street. Now this is Wire Street, just opposite Piccadilly train station. But we know from the articles, the newspaper reports, that, like I said, the body will be found on wasteland, and the only wasteland we can find off Wire Street would have been here on our right hand side. Now there are no crime scene photos that we can find. There's no press photographs in any of the newspapers showing any tents or any police officers who were cordoning off this area. So we're not sure if it's in this, well, this bridge archway, or is it under that archway where the body itself was discovered. But it is definitely in one of the two from what we've been reading. This burning body itself was missing its head. Now when you put the two together, the head and the body, it was a perfect match, and especially when the DNA analysis was undertaken, the DNA matched both parts of the body. But who was this poor victim? This senseless act of murder. The face itself was badly disfigured. The body had been set alight 70 miles away from where the head was located. But who was it, and why had this event occurred? Now, it was initially speculated by the police that this head had been launched from a passing car on the M6 motorway. However, when you look at Google Maps and you look at the distance between the motorway and the lane and to where the discovery was made, it would be nigh on impossible for this to have been the case. There is a substantial distance between the two. So to launch anything, to hurl anything from a passing car and to where the head was found, I think we can rule that out. Now obviously with the head now being taken in for further investigation, a rare metal alloy was found as part of the dental work of this person of unknown. So this was one clue, this was one thing the police themselves could use to identify this victim. All they needed now, however, was a close resemblance to who this person may have been. So it was here in Manchester where I think it was Dr. or Professor Richard Neve, one of the top facial reconstruction experts in the UK, he would be called in to look into this case, and he would start working on the facial reconstruction in earnest. There were over 100 fragments of bone from the skull that he had to painstakingly put together like a very, very difficult jigsaw puzzle. He would eventually reconstruct to the face. In April 1994, a photograph of that bust, or the cast of what he had created, would be released to the public. Now, as a result of the press release in April 1994, the police would receive a phone call from a lawyer. Now, this lawyer thought that the features would match those, or did match those closely, of one of his clients. He was convinced it was a Kuwaiti billionaire by the name of Adnan Al-Sane, and he was a 46-year-old former banker who had moved to London in 1986. Now, the police had a name, but who was he and why had he ended up losing his life in such horrific ways? The police would soon establish that Adnan himself had been missing since around the 14th of December 1993 after a business meeting with other Kuwait members. When police had searched his home, which was a luxury flat in the Mayfair Vale district of London's West End, there was no sign of any struggle or anything amiss. But 6 boxes of files that are related to his stocks and shares had been missing. Now, detectives would form an opinion that his body had been snatched from his flat, but like I said, nothing seemed amiss other than the box of missing files. Detective Superintendent Bernard Rees from the GMP said at the time that financial motive is the only one I can think of. Now, Adnan Al-Sane had been in banking from what we believe until the age of 38, when he would soon retire. Now, after that, he got himself involved in a bit of fun on the stock markets, the stock exchange, buying and selling. He would also visit nightclubs as well as many casinos. Now, one suspicion in this entire case was that of finance over in Kuwait and surrounding countries. There was no proof in any of this, but it seems that the police were onto something by thinking and by announcing that if this was the case, that something dodgy may have been going on in Kuwait and Al-Sane had been involved, the disposal of his body would shift that investigation, that train of thought, away from the scandals taking place out in these other countries. Now, when Adnan Al-Sane's body was initially discovered and the police had obviously arrived at the scene, the body itself would later be described as being naked apart from wearing underwear. Why this person had been stripped naked before being murdered? One would presume he was stripped naked before being murdered, I should add. Maybe because he had been tortured, and the burning of the body was to hide perhaps that kind of evidence. We don't know. But why was his head taken 70 miles away to Staffordshire? That's one that puzzled the police. And a lot of people seem to think that may have happened simply to put the police off the scent. If his torso is in Manchester, his head's in Staffordshire, it would be difficult to piece the two together. Literally piece the two together. The police themselves will later recall saying, and later find out saying, I should say, that Al-Sane had no ties to Manchester. He had nothing in Manchester to speak of. No reason to be in this district. So it seems the killers perhaps have brought him here. He may have been murdered here, decapitated here, and his body ultimately set on fire, obviously here. His head was then taken back to Staffordshire, where it was then casually dumped on the school field, and not far from the M6 motorway, but like I said, far enough not to be thrown from a passing car on the motorway. Now, the murder of Al-Sane itself has never ever been solved. It's been over 30 years since this took place in and around Manchester and Staffordshire. To this day, nobody knows why it happened, why he will be targeted. All we've got is a lot of theories. Now, for the more observant of you who have watched all our videos, you will by now have realised we're back here, obviously at Piccadilly station, and to where we filmed a more recent story, that of the Manchester Ripper. We're here, you see, picking our daughter up from Piccadilly train station. But it's just to my left where there's quite a substantial amount of people now on the parkway, if you will. They're sitting on the embankments, kids are playing in the park, people are walking through this section here, completely unawares as to what happened all those years ago at the early beginnings of 1900. You know, and to the two boys, especially one of them that was found brutally murdered just here on Hoyle Street. And this is what I mean about history and about the stories we cover. Not just us, but many other YouTube channels. We cover the darker side of life to bring these stories back, because you look around you and how things change. You know, I mean, quite rightly things do change, and it's changed for the better. I mean, this area is so neat, tidy, pretty looking. It's a place outside of the city centre itself for people to come and relax. But it does still have that dark history. The story is still there. But unbeknownst to probably all these people, they won't realise what happened exactly where they are now playing. And like I said, it's a story that goes back well over 100 years. But I just love the fact that people, myself included and Vicky, probably you guys, we can visit these places completely unawares as to, you know, what may have occurred or what did occur right where you are all those years ago, the horrors that these places hold. And I find that fascinating in a morbid, peculiar way. And I can't explain why I find that fascinating, but I do. And I don't know why. Now, maybe if you guys can explain what that is, let me know down below, but I just find it really fascinating how these locations can be redeveloped, but the story still remains there. Now, this is what I mean about the history now and how it's all changed. I mean, you've got a little, I don't know, like a little tuck shop there selling drinks and food. Then you've got an ice cream van. But then you've got the kids park just here where Hoyle Street is, but where the houses used to go. And this is where, obviously, the body of Squire Kynaston was located all those years ago. But it's the dark history of this area, and kids are playing there today. And like I say, it's all redeveloped. I find it so interesting how we can all move on with life and not realising, you know, like what occurred, what transpired in these wonderful locations all those years ago. So that is all from here at Manchester and close to Piccadilly station, and to where the body of Al-Sane, or Al-Sane, was actually found. Tell us your thoughts down below. Have you heard of this horrible, horrible case? We've not gone too much into it because we can't find too much into it. We're here for a completely different reason today. It's a family-related reason why we're here. Not for the vlog, nothing major, but not for the vlog. So we thought we'd cover two things. One, a walk around Manchester, and two, the short story of Al-Sane. Comment down below if you've heard of that tale. Vicky, what's your thoughts on it before we go on Al-Sane? You think it's money related, don't you?
I think it's definitely money related. It's strange how his family hasn't even put anything in the paper. There's nothing about his family at all. And did he even have one?
We know he was alone in London at the time of his disappearance. We know that.
So, did he have children, or was he just a loner? It's definitely money.
It's dodgy dealings, possibly Kuwaiti, we don't know.
He was gambling, he was into casinos.
Yeah, and it's unsolved. Yeah. It's still unsolved over 30 years since the torso and the head were found in 93 and 94. So 30 years.
It was definitely a planned one.
Yeah, and like I say, with the disfigurement of the face, you know,
and two different areas.
And the police said that it's obviously a machete. They think it was a machete that was used to commit the actual injuries to the face. I touched upon it further back about the body being burnt and left where it was. Why was it left where it was? A car, I think it was a Honda, that was found nearby, or seen driving nearby, which was never tracked down. So was the Honda the car used to bring the body here, or Al-Sane here before he was killed? Was he killed here? I think he was. And I think he was decapitated here and then his body burnt to remove all the evidence of maybe the torture or any clues left behind, maybe DNA, you know, fingerprints or fibres, things like that. He was stripped naked after all, down to his underwear.
And again, what was that?
Was it to destroy any evidence, contamination, maybe? You know what I mean?
Was he tortured?
Was he tortured?
Because I don't think it was sexual. Because
no.
I think that would have come out.
There was I don't think there was anything sexual about it. I think this was a horrific attack on a man. It might have been into dodgy dealings, but still, it was still a horrific way to lose your life. His head was taken off and obviously dispatched over in Staffordshire. And why Staffordshire? And why in that particular area? Was that area known to the killers? Were they local to that area? Oh, because it is off the beaten track after all. Some say that the head itself was thrown from a passing car on the M6. That has been disproved by another YouTube channel who's been there and visited, and he kind of says there's no way that head was thrown from a passing car on the M6. It was too far away. And when you look on Google Maps, that does back that theory up. So was that location known to the killer or killers? Probably.
And with it being such a high profile, again, I know it's only 30 years ago, but when they are high profile, there seems to be a very quick hush-hush about it. Yeah. Again, unsolved. The police have not got any closer to solving it. Anyway, we've waffled on. And DNA and everything was about at that time.
Well, that's how they matched the head and the body up. DNA was used to match the body.
It's very...
But also the dental records in the teeth were unique, apparently. It still didn't identify his name though. It took a colleague or somebody dealing with Al-Sane to come forward, a client to come forward to,
it was his lawyer, wasn't it?
Yeah, to basically identify that the bust, the face reconstruction was that of Al-Sane. So even the dental records didn't kind of help him then, did it?
No, but at least when the lawyer said that, then it all had
the little clues pieced together, but still, it's involved to this day. If you enjoyed this kind of content, comment down below, tell us your thoughts. Have you heard of the Adnan Al-Sane or Al-Sane murder? Comment down below. In the meantime, guys, we're going to leave you here at the Mayfield depot here in Manchester, opposite the Piccadilly train station. I want you to take care, look after yourselves, and always stay safe, but stay curious. Share the video, comment, do all those things. It does help the video immensely, and we do appreciate it. Take care, guys. We'll be back soon with another tale from a dark but at times glorious past.